Hello everyone, and welcome to another session of Dark Souls PvP. I am here bringing my bow cleric build back from the grave, and, just sort of getting it in the burg for a change. Now, this build, I had to rearrange my armor on it. I did a little showcase of it a while back, but I had to rearrange my armor because apparently there's a bit of a glitch with the Armor of Thorns and the bow. Can't really wear the two of them together. Causes a little failure to roll sort of thing going on when you roll into someone. Doesn't really work out too well if you're on a build that needs to roll around a lot. So, yeah. Alright. So, I'm getting it in the burg this time, and really I'm doing that because I heard a lot of complaints from quite a few people about the burg, and how there's a lot of overly high level people, overpowered, all that stuff, lots of gankers in the burg, hackers and all that. Not so much fun stuff. So I pretty much decided that I wanted to go and check it out for myself. And I gotta admit, there were some pretty strange things going on in the burg when I was playing this night. Between people naked with whips fighting each other, and hackers fighting each other, and all that crazy stuff, I was happy to have a good amount of normal fights. Yeah. So we've got this bloodthirsty dark wraith, coming in and interrupting our fight, and I helped the host sort of gank him, kinda. I mean, neither of us got hit when he came in. He just sort of went full hollow rage mode and tried to interrupt us, so we took him down. No big deal. And it happens. Happens to the best of us. So yeah, just sort of getting at it with this host. Got my Wrath of the Gods, sent him flying back quite a ways, and just sort of doing the bow cleric thing, shooting at him. And really, one of the reasons I like this build is because it requires very little effort. People don't really realize that this build has a weakness staring them in the face, literally, and that weakness is that if you trade hits with it, you're going to win, and I'm going to lose. So it's really just a matter of running in and hitting, which is why I'm dodging so often. It's really a necessity for me to dodge. If I don't, then I'll lose. I can't just sit there and trade hits, I have to keep moving. And people don't really realize that, so yeah. And right there I actually meant to throw a Lloyd's Talisman, but I threw it, or I used a Humanity instead. Yeah, I threw a Humanity. That works. Yeah. So, get him with a nice Wrath of the Gods right there again, because he's not really doing much. Tries to heal and gets that, that failed Estus healing animation. And I get him with a Poison Death as he's trying to cast his third set of Pursuers, I believe it was. Yeah. Good stuff. Alright, so we got this guy, he's got a great sword, Silver Knight shield, all that fun stuff. And he comes in being all aggressive, which is really what you want to do when you're fighting against this build. But I got him poisoned. Got him with a stun from the bow right there, which is, something people don't expect to happen. Get him with a Wrath of the Gods, and he backs off and goes to heal, which, it's not really a big deal. I kind of expect people to heal when I'm on this build, and I don't really mind it at all. Although what I do mind is being stun locked by Wrath of the Gods. That's kind of annoying. I mean, I don't even know how that happened, considering I wouldn't be able to do that. At least I've never been successfully able to do it, although I don't really spam Wrath of the Gods as it is. But, he's proud, so he goes and does his well, what is it, and then fails to drink his Estus, which, I think is kind of funny. It's like, oh yeah, I beat you even though I had to heal. Hey, I can't heal still, what's going on? Oh, people make me laugh. So, got him again, just start off the fight by throwing Lloyd's Talisman at him. It doesn't really work out. And I try this for a while, and it doesn't really, work at all. Just sort of miss every shot. I mean, I'm doing it target lock, so that's really the reason why. I mean, I know I have to break target lock, and I do try that at some point during this whole process. Right about here, that's where I do it. But I throw it right past him, and that doesn't do too much, does it? Alright, so I'm in the Berg. I think I already went over this, but I'm going to do it again. I'm in the Berg because people are complaining, over-leveled characters and such. I'm really not seeing too much of that. There are quite a few who are higher level, but I'm not seeing any I'm not seeing many level 700 plus people. I mean, there were a few to be sure, but there weren't like an extreme amount of them. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be, at least in my opinion. And really, in my opinion, the Berg has not changed since the time that I left it. The only real difference now is that there are gold and silver tracers everywhere, and less magic in the Berg. I mean, not exactly sure why there's less magic going around, but there is. And really, overall, there's less magic in the Berg than there is anywhere else that I've PvP'd recently, and that includes Ulyssil and both sides of the forest. I mean, there's a lot less magic going around in the Berg. Although, I will say this, there are a lot more people using the Dark Wood Grain Ring and flipping around with their R1 spam. So, you know, trade-offs, and you got some trade-offs, and really can't help it. So we got this guy hiding behind a shield, coming up and just doing some R1s with the gold tracer. And, you know, that's really not how you bleed someone out with it, but I'm not going to complain. But I will admit, my bleed is getting up there pretty fast, faster than I would like. Then he goes, gets me with a nice little Wrath of the Gods. And he's got a lot of health, so this was pretty close. He definitely got a lot of health. And right there, as he was about to get that swing off and get me, I got him with that last arrow, give him a nice little wave, and get on to the next match. Alright, so, T-Wills. T-Wills. What can I say about T-Wills? Well, I can say he doesn't like me too much. And if that's not a hint towards what's coming up, I'll just say it. Rage messages. Yay! So many rage messages, as is standard with this build. I mean, people don't really like to fight it. It is kind of annoying. I can understand that. But, you know, got that R1 spam, get him with a nice little Wrath of the Gods for the second time. Comes in, tries to get me with that spin attack, rolling attack thing, and I shoot him with the arrow. And we got one of his many messages that he was sending me. Yeah, I figured I would just show that one. And actually, before I get into anything else about rage messages, that little red thing that appeared over this guy's head, if anyone knows what that's about, please let me know, because I've seen it a few times recently, and I've got no clue what's going on with that, or why. I mean, I think it might just be lag or something, I don't really know. Yeah. Alright, so... excuse me. Alright, so we've got this guy. He's got his Fury Sword, his R1 spam, and his Estus Flasks. And he's got that Silver Tracer as well. Not really doing too much. Get him with a Wrath of the Gods there to push him back. And he goes and uses a Blessing. Remember when everyone had those and they were popping them like candy? Because I sure do. You know what I don't miss? I don't miss people using blessings. So, pull out my handy little mail breaker and try and get myself set up for a wake-up backstab so he can't use another one. But I guess some people just can't handle, losing. I mean, I hadn't necessarily lost yet at this point, or he hadn't necessarily lost yet at that point either, but he just sort of quit on me, so I sent him a message, nice blessing and nice rage quit, and his response, nice bow poking, I guess I'm more obnoxious than a spear user. A bit easier to beat, though, if I do say so myself. Spear users, tend to hide behind their shields when they're starting to get low on health, whereas I don't have a shield. And yeah, they're able to stun lock more easily, so on and so forth. Although the same strategies apply for being a spear user. Just poise through their first attack and get them with the backstab, roll backstab them, be super mega hyper aggressive, for lack of a better term. Or you could just be, crazy like I am and just use a bow to beat a spear user, like this guy right here. And he switches off to the sword, so I guess he's not technically a spear user anymore. And now he is again, so yeah. So, about those two rage messages, I usually don't like to include rage messages in my videos, but the last time I did a bow cleric video and I mentioned I was getting rage messages, some people, asked to see them, asked to know what people were saying, so I decided to include them this time, and I actually redirected these two, and I actually redirected these two to the channel, so if I'm getting a little more hate on my videos, oh well, I'm sure most of you guys can sort of counteract that, hopefully, please. A bit more likes and stuff. That'd be great. But, yeah, that's besides the point. That's really the least of my concerns. I really don't care. So, just figured they'd see the comments on the videos, you guys would be saying something about it, and they might sort of think a little differently after. But that's really the only reason why. I don't care if I get any hate on this channel. It's whatever. I do this for fun. It's something I enjoy doing. Not really a big deal. So yeah, we got this guy with his typical ganker-like setup. Got that Tranquil Walk piece, full giants, Mask of the Burger King, and Claymore. Just sort of spamming away, typical ganker setup. And not really too hard to beat, especially in a 1v1. So, of this set of matches, the first overleveled person I found, this person apparently is level 700 something, according to someone who beat them. They ended up getting like 800 some odd thousand souls for it. So they're really a very high level. And, they've got a lot of stamina, obviously. That many attacks in a row, it's kind of a lot. So, I start to Wrath of the Gods spam a little bit, pull out my handy little mail breaker, and sort of get at it. Hopefully, hoping to end up with a backstab or a parry on them, so I can finish them off nice and quick and easy. But it doesn't really end up working out in my favor. It's hard to get a backstab on someone who's flipping around in full steel armor, I think that is. Can't really tell what it is. I'm pretty sure that's full steel. Yeah. And he's obviously got high enough magic to use the Tin Crystallization Catalyst and Pursuers. So, definitely a high level, definitely annoying. But it was a fun fight. I don't really mind it so much. In my opinion, there's not too much of a difference between a level 711, which is max level, and a level 120. Or for that matter, a level 100, which is what this is. Not that much of a difference as far as damage output, but there is quite a difference as far as their resistance. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter too much in my opinion. But, anyway. So we have this person, and they ended up hitting me while I was putting on my buff, and they give me some humanity for it, because, some people actually are awesome, like this person right here, apparently. So, yeah, just sort of getting at it with the bow again, and that's actually one thing I like about the bow. It's really good when you're fighting against people who are casting sorceries, because when they're casting sorceries, there's that little bit of time to charge up, and that's about the same amount of time it takes for you to, draw your arrow, get it ready. And really the good thing about the bow is that the arrows actually go faster than soul spears, magic in general, like right there. Got to shoot the arrow off before the Soul Spear. No complaints. And give him a nice little wave. Say thanks for the humanity. Thanks for the good match. And I've got another match with this person because, you know, one good match leads to another, and it's just the way it works out. So, like I was saying, lots of ninja flipping people in the burg, quite a few spear users. I'm actually quite happy to see the Moonlight Butterfly Horn as much as I did, and that was only a total of twice throughout this set of matches. But that's still more than I've ever seen it anywhere else, so it's nice to see that people in the burg are mixing things up. And actually, in the burg, I've seen quite a few people dual wielding, which is something I don't see, like, ever. So, you know, you got your range of players. It's definitely a treat running into the people who are dual wielding, especially the ones that are dual wielding some interesting weapons. Before I started recording, I fought a guy who was using, he was dual wielding Dragonbone Fists and putting Sunlight Blade on one of them, and that was really cool. It was pretty effective, actually. I mean, I watched him fight a guy before he fought me, and he ended up actually pulling off the uppercut with the Dragonbone Fist, which is something I've never been able to land in PvP. So that gives me a bit more inspiration. I want to try getting it again. Hopefully I can sometime. And I gotta say though, I've said it before to a few people, because I've done it myself, Sunlight Blade on a Dragonbone Fist and look skyward looks really funny. You know, if you're ever bored and you have the time, check it out. It looks pretty funny in my opinion. Alright, so we got a guy dual wielding in his full Havels almost. He's got a Claymore and a Silver Knight Spear. So, you know, it's a good combination of weapons. You got the wide arcing swings, plus you've got the nice pinpoint stabs. And I like this right here. Nifty headshot invaded, or was summoned as I got a headshot. And I started laughing at that point once I saw the name and got the headshot. And you can see the arrow sticking in the guy's head. I mean, that's great. Things like that, they don't really happen very often. You don't really get nifty headshots as nifty headshot is summoned in. So, I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. And I'm sorry about that bad joke. That was bad. I'm pretty sure I said I wouldn't make bad jokes like that again, but I guess I kind of forgot. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Everyone else makes jokes about my memory sometimes, so I figured I might as well do it at some point. That's really actually how I got the name. I ended up being late to something one time. So, what time were you supposed to get here, Mr. I Won't Forget? Yeah, oops. Anyway, that's all besides the point. So we got this guy who's being really, really aggressive, which is great. It's not really one of the best ways to beat this build. He's got the Shodel, and I think he's actually been using the regular spear, which is something I've never seen used in PvP. I mean, I've seen a lightning spear get used, but that's only out of necessity and because they don't really know what they're doing. I've never actually seen a normal plus 15 spear get used in PvP. So that's pretty cool. Props to that guy for using something I don't see nearly ever. And, you know, it's a spear, but it seems to me like it actually has a faster attack speed than most of the other spears. I don't know if it's just because it's shorter and it looks like that, but just my opinion. Might need to do a little bit of testing on that, but yeah. Alright, so we got a long fight ahead right here. This guy is just sort of dodging, staying back, not really doing much of anything. And I get him poisoned. Cast Wrath of the Gods. Thought he was a bit closer than he was. Kind of thought he was actually going to come in for a roll poke attack, but he didn't end up doing that. So he's just dodging back and forth, not really realizing that if he comes in with the shield up and starts poking me, I'll have to roll away instead. And, you know, it's just sort of that mentality that people get into when they're being attacked in PvP. They're like, oh, I'm being attacked, I should just keep moving. They don't think that most people don't really even consider trading hits with the person as a viable option. even though it really is, especially if you're using a Leo ring and you're going for the counterattacks, trading hits is like the best thing in the world. But I guess that's why most people don't use the Leo ring and go for the Hornet instead, because it takes a little more thinking, I suppose, would be the... Well, not the nice way to say it, actually. That's kind of mean sounding, isn't it? I suppose that's a way to say it. So, got them just circling me. If they roll backstab me, they'd be able to get me, but they don't think of that, so... You know, no big deal. Go ahead and throw a little Lloyd's Talisman at him. Pull up the Mailbreaker yet again for that nice quick little backstab with the counter backstab fish. Throw Lloyd's Talisman on the ground because, you know, I can. Alright, so last fight in the set of matches in the Berg. You know, overall, the Berg hasn't changed much from what I've seen. Maybe it's because I'm on somewhat of a trolley build that I'm not really noticing or bothered by it. Maybe because it's not because I can't talk. Maybe it's because I can't talk. Maybe it's because I'm not really playing too seriously that I'm not being bothered by any of this. It just all seems the same to me, though. So yeah, that's so yeah, that's the end of that. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.